Salutations, Dufos. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming at you with another special presentation. Moving right along with talking and bringing amazing people to you and having amazing conversations with them, I have someone that you need to meet. This young man is an indigenous two-spirit model and personal trainer. He also models his areas of expertise in modeling are fitness and lifestyle. So we are going to talk to this amazing man and learn some new things about him today together. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Mr. Gabriel Ray Resendez.
Hi
Hi.
everyone. Thank you so much for having me. You could just use Ray. I prefer that name.
No problem. I'll call you Ray. How are you today, Ray?
I'm doing pretty good, on vacation, it's booked and busy as we should be.
Yeah. You said vacation. So you're on your vacation. Are you vacationing anywhere special?
Well, I will be traveling to DC tomorrow, but right now it's like a little mini staycation.
Okay, nice. Where's home? Where are you from?
So right now I reside in Brooklyn, New York.
Nice. Have you been there long?
No, I grew up most of my life in Queens, New York, Forest Hills.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a New Yorker. I like that. I like that about you. Yeah, you're a New Yorker. So the reason why I say that is because New York is one of the most progressive cities you can live in the country. You know, it's not as how should we say, closeted in mentality. You know, it's not so close-minded. And in New York, you can really be yourself. I remember in my early days when I was coming to New York to pursue a modeling career, I felt very, very at home and safe on its streets, you know. And that's a place like I've never felt that way because I'm from Philadelphia. I've never felt that anywhere but New York and Paris. So I felt like I could be myself and no one would stop and look for the wrong reasons. You know, people would stop in Paris and say, "Oh, you're beautiful." I'm like, "Thank you." But yeah, so New York, been there all your life. Oh my God. So staycation. So are you an entrepreneur as well?
Yes, I do have some side hustles. I mostly work at a nonprofit helping trans people of color. So it's like a program where we have like interventions, we'll have like weekly support groups, and we give like gender affirming items or like hygiene kits. So it's like a combination of outreach, data entry, and just making sure people are virally suppressed with HIV/AIDS and preventing any new infections.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So you're doing, I love what I'm hearing is you're active in your community and
Oh,
that,
oh yeah,
and
absolutely. Absolutely. I have like I would like to call myself an independent contractor because like I have a variety of different jobs. I can't really just put a name to it. So it's like I do a variety of things.
yeah, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there's something very beautiful about you that I haven't mentioned yet, because I wanted you to mention it and tell our followers and our viewers what's so special about you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I guess the most special thing about me is just me being trans. I came to this country with nothing. I'm an immigrant from South America, specifically La Paz, Bolivia. So when we came to this country, we were dirt poor.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing a lot better for myself. I wouldn't say like I'm upper middle class or anything, but I'm doing very well for myself, made the best of most situations. My parents weren't really like supportive of my transition. They're slowly but surely coming around. They don't really know I'm non-binary two-spirit, but like they can wrap around their heads about like, oh, you're a man of trans experience. I was like, close enough.
Yeah.
I'm also on the spectrum, so like autism. So at least that's what I highly suspect. I haven't been officially diagnosed yet. Hopefully, that's going to be a goal for this year. But despite all these things, like I am really into learning. I tend to have like these special, specific interests that I'll have for
Yeah.
like a year at a time, and then all of a sudden, like I lose interest, and then I go on to the next best thing. And so that's how I learn and pick up new skills because I'm just like I'm really invested in this, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's it. On
Yeah.
to the next thing.
You know what's so funny? People don't even know this, but you're a rock star.
Oh,
In your community, you're a rock star. And social media, I always say social media is for business, but social media allows you to make some very, very wonderful connections. And you and I actually came to know each other through my work. you started supporting me. And then what I like to do is when someone supports me, I like to go back and support them. So then I follow them and I get into their lives and I see what they post. And I have your Instagram pulled up right now. And I didn't know you were from South America. That's
Oh
amazing.
yes, yes. I'm a South American immigrant. I'm like half indigenous, a mixture of Chinese and
Oh,
white racially. Like most Hispanic people are fairly like racially mixed, so we can like be from a variety
yeah,
of places. There's white Hispanics, Asian Hispanics, Afro Latinx.
yeah. What I love is when I look at your Instagram, it is so unapologetically real. I noticed that. I noticed that you have taken us on your journey, your fitness journey, all like like it's so, and you are beautiful. Your body is amazing.
Oh, thank you. You're too
You're
kind. I
welcome.
try my best.
Yeah.
Working from home, multiple jobs. I have to, try not to neglect my own body. I have to make sure my mind is good, my body's good, and hopefully my health is well.
Yeah, I agree. But you're a very beautiful man. My goodness. I think that might have been one of the reasons I followed you. I'm like,
Well,
oh,
thank you. I appreciate that. I
yeah,
really appreciate
I'm looking like, oh, okay, all right, all
Oh
right,
my, you
okay.
flatter me.
See. So tell me, in your migration from South America, are you an only child, or was it just, do you have siblings?
Oh, yes, I do. I have an older brother. I'm the baby of the family.
Yes.
And I came here with my dad and my mom. And my grandma and my uncle also live here. The rest of my family is still in Bolivia.
Wow. Wow. No, I think that is so amazing because we get to have, conversations, and I love it because I get to talk to people from all over the world. And what I learn is, especially in a trans experience, it doesn't matter what country you come from, the need to be yourself, the need to show up as yourself every single day is so important. And people give me flack because they're like, oh, you're on the fence. And I'm like, no, I'm really not. I'm two-spirited. Now that I know, I'm a shaman as well. So I'm two-spirited, and I consider myself a trans illusionist because, I love women's clothing. I love the wigs, the makeup, the hair, but I very much identify as a homosexual, Black, effeminate gay man. So, but I see a lot because I get kind of the same attention, if you understand. They're looking
Yeah.
at me and they're like, oh, so I get that. What are you? What are your pronouns? Or, this and that. And, after being fed up with it all, I basically said, listen, when I'm dressed like this, you can call me she. When I'm dressed like my normal self, you can call me he. So that's why like my pronouns are she and he, so it just, being two-spirited. And, people don't really understand what that means. And I've been trying to educate them, but can you give us your definition of what two-spirited is?
Yeah, absolutely. So two-spirit is a term usually used by indigenous people. Well, for me, and it could mean like slightly different things, but for me specifically, it's like two-spirit, it's like encompassing masculine and feminine energies. So some days I feel more feminine, some days I feel more masculine, some days I don't feel particularly anything. And so, my pronouns are usually they, he, she, specifically in that order. So they is like the most preferred thing because it's like very gender neutral. I will accept that at every time. I don't always accept she all the time or he. And so I like people mixing it up with me, and I really appreciate that. So it's like, I try to encompass like masculine and feminine qualities, the long hair, the earrings, getting my nails done, working out, being hairy, having a beard. So I like encompassing like a more androgynous kind of feel. And, that's what I took testosterone for. Well, originally I took testosterone because I thought I was just like a trans man. But then over time, like I heard more about non-binary people. I was like, oh, that sounds like more like what I am. And I was like, all right, I am already been on T for so many years. I can't really go back now. So I was like, all right, well, might as well. I'm okay with this.
Yeah. you know, what I love is that you've done a lot of research too, and you've had supportive family. And that is so important. You know, my family to this day does not support me even wearing.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say supportive family. I have a supportive chosen family. I have like I'm
Uh,
also part of a house. I'm also part
okay.
of a ballroom culture. So that's
Mhm,
where that comes from. Like
mhm.
they're supportive, but they'll never really get to know the real me. And that's something I've had to grieve for a bit. But that's okay because I have my friends and my other chosen family, you know, with my gay
Yeah.
mom, who is a very strong Black trans woman who's out there doing the work for the past couple of years, is active in ballroom, like is mentoring me. And, you know, she's definitely a person I look up to. Her name is Tabitha.
Wow. Okay, so now I'm understanding. They're tolerating you. Not
Yeah, they're tolerating me. And also my extended family back home, they haven't heard from me in like a decade, like a little over a decade.
yeah,
Simply because I don't think my parents want to tell them
yeah.
in fear of shock and
Yeah.
those kinds of things. And for a while, I cared about it, but now it's like, whatever.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad that you said chosen family because I find that my strongest allies are my chosen family, those that are not blood. And this little fun fact about me is that I grew up with my mother's side of the family. All my aunts and uncles are gay and lesbian, but they decided to embrace indoctrination and, you know, modern Christianity, and they deny who they are. They deny their urges. They say, well, if I don't practice the quote unquote sin. And I was like, first of all, I'm not a sinner, I'm a person. So y'all gonna stop calling me that. Y'all gonna stop saying that to me. And that caused a huge rift in my family when it comes to me. But like you said, chosen family is everything, because then I look at people and I have people from all different walks of life who see me as you know, who I really am. Now you said something in your last answer that has me intrigued. Ballroom. So why ballroom?
Well, when I first met Tabitha, we were coworkers, and she said, you know, she knew I was already a trans masculine person, and she said I would be good in ballroom, and I had never heard of ballroom culture up to that point. But you know, I saw Paris is Burning,
Yeah.
and all these things like how ingrained culture is, and I also saw a couple of episodes of Pose, which is also huge on ballroom culture. So the history, I was like, oh, that's what that is. And I walked my first ball like last year during the pandemic. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I chose it simply because, you know, it helps me come out of my comfort zone. Because if I didn't do that, I would probably be in my house just working all the time from home. So I do want to be open to new experiences, but also know when to pull back. Because, you know, I have it like it's really easy for me to lose myself and just keep going, keep going, keep going, even though I'm about to burn out. And then I just collapse when it's like burnout mode. Like, ugh.
Oh no. So what's the name of your house? What house are you with?
I'm in House of Revlon.
Oh, you're Revlon. Okay, okay, okay. See, I know a little bit about the culture. You know, I know a little bit. I didn't particularly gravitate to ballroom, but that wasn't because I didn't enjoy it, or I didn't. I was trying to, what I thought at that time, make it into mainstream entertainment, and then I realized they didn't want no fairies in mainstream entertainment, and you know, so then I realized, oh, okay, and then you know, coming from my family household, I wasn't like ushered into finding people like me, people that did what, you know, ballroom and things like that. Now I have them, and it's like, it's a beautiful thing. I think, you know, I put out, when I first released my first single years ago on YouTube, it was called Black Stilettos. And I'll never forget the first place it was played, the first place that it was embraced, the first place that everybody went crazy was ballroom. Someone took it there and said, you've got to hear her. And they played it, and the response was so amazing from the ballroom culture. So I was just like, you know, and you know, I'm a little nervous, but I have to make a ballroom debut. I have to. I have to.
Absolutely. It's never too late.
Like I like exactly. I'm 39, but I have to, because I don't think enough people understand that culture saves lives. It
It
gives you
does.
it gives you a place, not just to belong, but to own in the world. This is mine. I am this, I am that, I am House of Revlon, I am House of New Glare, I am an Ebony. You know, like you get to own a particular piece of the world. Whereas, you know, we're told, oh, you can't have nothing. You're indigenous, or, you know, you're gay, or you're this, or you're trans, and they want to take everything from us. And it's like Ballroom provides you that place where you're like, no, this is what I own. This is what is mine. And what I love about Ballroom is that I've always known it to be true too, but I have a fashion background, modeled in Paris when I was 22 and for 6 months. And what I know, and what I know to be true from seeing it, is that the ballroom and the fashion community are hand in hand. It's so, yeah, it's so amazing to see how many people from ballroom actually work in fashion. And I mean, even right before the pandemic, I believe it was the Blondes in New York. And they, you know, they always do these beautifully themed shows. And they had several trans models walking with them, and the inclusion was just so beautiful. And then I believe it was Marco that did an entire show that it had, they were all trans, and all the models, and they weren't just skinny, you know, they were all walks and sizes. And one model that I love the most, his name is Laith Ashley. He was
yes, Laith. I love him.
Yeah, I love him too. He was in the show. That's my baby's father. He just don't even know that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he will. He will. Yeah. So the reason why I went that way is because you also have a nickname, and it is also your Instagram screen name. It says, I am trans, and I didn't know if you wanted me to say Jesus or Jesus.
Jesus is fine.
Okay, so this is the thing: the hair, the face, the beard. What drew you to this likeness to the Son of God?
Honestly, I literally was just growing my hair out simply because I was like, what would I look like with my hair grow long? And also, it was during the pandemic that like a lot of barbershops were like closed down. And I was like, I could save myself some money just not doing anything to it. So as it grew, and then like with the beard that I was already able to grow, a lot of people were saying, Jesus, oh my God, it's trans Jesus. And I was just like, well, okay, I guess might as well just change my username to Trans Jesus, and then it kept. So it's either Jesus, or it's Bruno from Encanto, or Russell Brand, Dave Grohl, and I was like, okay.
Yes, I see what they're saying. I see it all in there. So I'm like, okay, they weren't lying to you. I love
Yeah, no, they weren't. I did a photo shoot. I was like, because I know a lot of trans folks were like, oh my God, you're being disrespectful to Jesus. And so I just did a photo shoot. I was like, stay mad.
Right. You know, like, and it's not disrespect. And that's the thing, it's not disrespectful. I find that religion and anything that is other always have a problem. That's just what it is. And, you know, when I explain to people my shaman work, I explained that, and I had an interview yesterday with a dear friend. He's also a model. He's 58 years old, and he's a model. Yeah, he's a model, fashion model. And he got signed at 56.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So amazing people doing amazing things. And you're also in that category. Because I can see a lot, like I can see a lot from you. You know.
Oh, thank you. I'm not part of an agency yet, but hopefully that might be a goal for this year. Hopefully.
Well, I was going to say, well, you know that there is an agency in LA that represents trans models exclusively.
Oh, really? What's the name of it? I would definitely love to hear about that.
There was a show, but I don't know if the show's name might not have been the same name as the agency. But the show was called Strut, and actually Laith was on it.
Strut. I think I've heard about that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Laith was on it. Goddess, I love her. I call her a goddess, but her name is Isis. She was on it as well. There were so many people. Dominique, she was in Pose.
Oh yes, Dominique.
And yes, she was on the show. And you know, I love the inclusion. Aries, I can't forget Aries. Aries was on the show as well. There were just so many beautiful people. And what I love, in my last interview, he said the same thing, and he's a hetero man, and he was just like, he was praising me for my energy and my contribution and what I say and what I do. And he was like, the world is changing. And for a moment, I didn't want to show it to him other than a smile, but there was a sigh of relief, you know, because it was like, finally, you know, I'm having a conversation with a hetero man, 4 children, a wife, and he's telling me, you know, I'm amazed by what you say and what you do. And I'm just like, oh, you know, like finally we're making headway. And you know, people, you know, there's a lot of negative opinion out there, but you know, there's also a lot of positive opinion out there. And I love that. I love that you could immigrate with your family and find yourself in the US, because honestly, it ain't too much in the US you can find. Like this land, you know, I was born here, but I'm planning to leave the country. Like I'm planning to move. Paris is my home, everything. So like it's so crazy that my number one thing is to get out of here. You know, where everybody wants
Yeah.
to come here. I'm like, oh no, like after 45, our president 45, and what all the hatred and all of that, I was just like, oh no, I got nope. That's
Oh, gotta go.
yeah, that sealed the deal for me. I was just like, nope, it's time to go. So tell me, do you get okay? I'm gonna bring something up, and
Okay.
it's not crazy, but
Okay.
do you find a lot of gay men attracted to you?
I'm sorry, what was that? A lot of game and what?
Do you find a lot of gay men attracted to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm very good. Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, absolutely. Like, I don't identify as straight or anything
Right.
like that. So I'm very what's the best word I can describe? Like demisexual, like pansexual. So I find myself more attracted to masculine energy. And I say masculine energy instead of just like men, because
Yeah.
lesbians can be masculine,
Yes.
women can be masculine. So
Yes.
I'm more attracted to masculinity, but women or femmes are not out of the question either. It's just
Right.
a pattern I notice. I'm just like, yeah, gay men can definitely be attractive. Like, listen, the way they dress, sometimes I look at them, I'm like, I wish I had some of that talent to just dress myself, like, put
Yeah.
myself together that way.
No, well, what you do is you work enough jobs, get a stylist. You work enough jobs, like you're so busy. You work so much. So yeah, get a stylist. Please, there'll be plenty of people. But you know why I'm saying this is because I see you in the next 3 years really exploding, and I
Oh,
see.
really? Well,
Yeah.
now let's definitely put that energy on the
Yes,
universe.
I see you explode. I see you exploding, and I see a lot of public appearances. I see a lot of interviews. That's just me
Oh,
being
I hope
a shaman.
so.
Yeah, it's just me being a shaman. So it's just, I see it. You know, you have what is called it.
Oh, well, thank you. Absolutely.
It's all
One of my
it.
one
You
of my
have it.
dream goals has been, writing a book about my transition, my memoir, just like, just being able to see another trans person who's a person of color, immigrant, on the spectrum, just having a piece of work out there for people to read.
Yes, and you know that is an amazing thing because look at what you're doing. Your story is so important. And, you know, we didn't have, I didn't want to take up the whole time talking about your transition because you're going to put it in your book. And for some reason I knew that. Don't ask me how. I knew that. So I didn't want you to give your story here. And
Yeah.
then the book is, coming. So they're going to have to wait for the book. But I will ask this. What can you say was the crowning moment of your transition when you felt like, finally, I'm seeing what I've always seen of myself?
When I, so I just want to trigger warning. Basically, just a little bit. Basically, when I did LSD for the first time, like
Uh-huh.
after like a crazy acid trip experience, the
Uh-huh.
next day I saw myself with fresh new eyes, and that's when I started to really get into fitness. Just that one trip changed my entire life. I got into fitness. I got myself together. I moved into my first apartment. I picked up some new jobs, and I was able to get certified as a personal trainer. So that trip was the crowning moment where I looked in the mirror. It's like, oh, we got to make some changes, but like I can definitely see myself, but we got to improve some things here. That's when I started
Wow.
really my journey of radical self-love.
I love that. And speak a little bit about what your journey of radical self-love looks like.
Being able to be me without taking into account of what other people say, because a lot of people would just look at me and be like, it's a man, or it's a man of trans experience. I'm like, no, my pronouns are they, he, she. My name is actually Ray. I only use Gabriel for work, just to like differentiate that work-life balance. And I just like wearing makeup and putting earrings on and getting my nails painted because I'm just me.
Yeah.
that's, beyond, the gender binary, because that is a colonial aspect, because, indigenous people have already recognized their genders, and
Yes.
it's been our non-binary identities have actually been around since like the 1500s. It's just a lot of people have been so ingrained with the colonizer mindset that they think it's just two genders.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I love that because I too can identify with that. I wasn't, it's not, and that's why I say he or she. I say he or she because that's truly how I feel. But I really float. Like I float. Like I work out. Since the pandemic, I had to stop going to gyms because I was just really scared of catching COVID. But I caught it in my house. My nephew brought it home from his job, and that was tough. So I'm just getting over that. But I work out, and I even with me crafting my body, I just did it with such intensity that my body just reflected that. It's smaller now, but I plan, like, I'm still working out. I just got off my COVID weight. So now I'm going to start to, get my shred.
Love to see it.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, like me, I'm not trying to get real big because I work in fashion. So I'm trying to just shred up like crazy, like I was before. But yeah, I love the fact that, people like you and I now have the leeway to just say, what are you? Just call me. My name's Bjorn, so just call me Bjorn. That's what or Ray. Just call me Ray. Like, how about that? How about stop trying to figure me out so much and just call me Ray or just call me Bjorn. That's it. That's all you have to do. I don't know where the world picked up that they even had to start asking, or that it was even polite to ask, are you a he or a she? And I used to get that in a bald head, because I keep my head shaved. Even as a child, I used to get, are you a he or a she? I was in 5th grade when someone called me a transvestite. I was in 5th
Oh,
grade. Yeah, I
wow.
was 10 years old. I had on a t-shirt. It was summertime. I had on a t-shirt and shorts. And they called me a transvestite because they said I was on the bus. And the young lady was like, what are you? A transvestite? You're dressed as a boy, but you're a girl. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had those early jarring situations happen. But I will say, since I've been doing this work, I've been doing this work for 6 years. I actually had that young lady find me on Facebook and apologize to me from 5th grade,
Oh,
mind
wow.
you. Yeah, from 5th grade, and apologize to me and tell me that she had a son and that she was raising her son to love and accept everyone. And
Oh,
yes, and she said to me, and by the way, in my apology, I must tell you, you're a beautiful person, a beautiful soul. You grew to be so much more than even I could see. So, those kind of experiences started happening to me more, that validated me. So I stopped listening to so much negativity, because, we work on social media.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the negativity is crazy, and the jealousy and the this and the that. So I
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
my block button game. I don't even do it. Like, I don't even do it. I just block and keep going. But I was on TikTok the other day. Now, mind you, as a trans illusionist, of course, I'm inspired by drag queens too. Like, hello. So this one woman says to me, and of course it was a woman, unfortunately, because I look like this, and it may give some women jealousy, and I don't know why, because I will always be a man. I'm just pretty. It's okay. I embrace it. I embrace that I'm not like her. I don't want what she wants,
Yeah.
but she says to me, oh, I don't know why you're doing this. Your mustache is showing right through your makeup.
Oh,
And wait, and I said to her before I blocked her, I said, sweetheart, haven't you seen Drag Race? We always shave our mustaches before we do makeup. Like we always should. And I mean makeup that's going to be foundation on this area. Like if you have a beard, that's different. You work around it. But when you have a clean shaven face, you make sure, okay, I'm going to put foundation here. I said, baby, there's no mustache. You're over exaggerating. And I blocked her. But that's one occurrence in the world, and there's a world of all these others that are so welcoming, so loving.
Absolutely.
There's a smile. I saw you smile. So welcoming, so loving, so appreciative, because it's like you said, Two-Spirit indigenous people have been around for so long. And it's also, we were your shaman, we were your oracles, we were your seers, your prophets, your healers. So, I'm like, even with me, I'm right in line with what, my ancestors were. And I want to ask you, being Two-Spirit, do you notice that you have shaman abilities?
Well, I do notice that, I can see when like I have a bad feeling and like I tend to go with my gut and my gut is usually right. So that's mostly the time. And I feel like when my hands are warm, it's like I can actually heal somebody or I can
Mhm.
foresee things. It's like I can see some things and I can, get into a meditative state a little easier. Like I go into like a whole other place, like I hear like nature sounds, but that seems to be the extent of it. Like I'm sure like when I used to like smoke medical marijuana, I definitely got into those states a little bit more. It's like more spiritual. I found myself more drawn to crystals, and I was just like, oh, I like nature. That's what I noticed. Not necessarily like water, but like forests or like quiet sceneries, like waterfalls. I love like those sounds. It's just I'm drawn to nature,
Yeah,
which you really can't get much of in New York.
yeah,
In New York City specifically.
yeah. You got to go into other areas of the
You
state.
got to go upstate.
You got to go upstate. My grandmother, when I was younger, she had a camper in Andover, New York. And that was a small town. When it went dark, there were no street lights.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah, but it was the most beautiful experience being out there. And what I loved is, that was rural New York. I'm running around my little black self as a little boy. I'm running around my little black self I'm playing on, in the campgrounds with other children whom were Caucasian and other things. And there was not 1 ounce of racism.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there was not 1 ounce of racism. We're all playing, we're eating together, we're having fun. My first pen pals, I'll never forget it. I can't remember the girl's name, but I remember Josh. Last name was Zadansky. I'm having a memory here.
Mhm.
I think about her name when it might have been Chris, Josh and Chris Zadansky. And like we kept in touch after that summer because we just made such a strong spiritual connection. And and I find when people, and I'm saying this for a reason, and I wanted it in your interview, because when we let go of what we are taught and we go off of what we feel and what is spiritually right, not necessarily morale, what feels spiritually like non-forced, it's not forced, when it just comes easy, so
Mhm.
much possibility is born, so much beauty is born, so much opportunity is born. I have a question for you. Do you ever see yourself leaving New York or moving somewhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see myself moving somewhere a lot more quiet because New York City is noisy. It's to the point where people say, "Do you not hear that noise in the background?" It's like, "Oh, I'm so used to the police cars and the fire trucks."
Right.
Like, because when I could see myself, if I have to stay in New York, it's probably going to be upstate, simply because upstate it's quiet. Like I can actually hear the quiet, even if it's quiet in New York City, I could still hear noise.
Yes.
Like noise, like it drives me crazy
Yeah.
and heightens my anxiety. But when I'm like upstate, it's like, wow, it's actually quiet. Only thing I hear is maybe the birds, the
Yes.
moving water, maybe
Yes.
the rustling of the trees, but that's the sound. Those are sounds I don't mind.
Exactly. Exactly. And I find that being the type of indigenous creatures that we are going to be connected to nature. Nature is everything. I love animals. I actually was going to school for biology. I wanted to be a vet. And then was medically withdrawn from college because I was diagnosed bipolar 1, PTSD, and acute anxiety. And that took me some years. That was 2001. So it took me some years. I was still trying to chase my career, but I wasn't getting anywhere because I would always get triggered and manic and sick. And I even had to leave Paris from modeling because it was just so stressful and it just triggered my anxiety and my mania. And, so then 15 years later, 15 years of therapy kind of has put me back in balance and back in tune and alignment with myself. But it was so crazy. I hate the winters here because it's cold, it's gloomy. So I actually got a familiar. I got a cat, Calico. I adopted her from, yeah,
Oh,
I adopted her from
so
the
cute.
shelter. I adopted her from the shelter. Her name is
Oh,
Her name is Poppy.
oh,
Yeah, and she came to me traumatized. But
Oh.
she's been with me since August, and my whole family is working around her. She knows everyone in the house, and she has a different relationship with everyone in the house. And I remember she used to bite incessantly. She didn't want you to touch her. And I would feed her. And when I would feed her, because she doesn't have food aggression, I'd run my hands down both her sides. And she got used to me doing that every day, to where now I can pick her up. And, she has her moments, but I said all that to say that the world needs to understand the, excuse me, damage that they can cause in just not being so open.
Mm.
Everybody doesn't have to be the same. Everybody doesn't have to look the same. Everybody doesn't have to call themselves under the same titles. Well, you're a boy, you wear blue. And it's so crazy because I know even in music, some of our, like even the hip hop rappers and things, they have become famous because they wore pink
Oh wow.
instead of blue. Someone that comes to mind is, you might have heard of him, but he was during my era coming up. His name was Camron. Camron was the king of pink. He wore pink and he revolutionized everything, because you had masculine men who were following him and his music. And then he comes out with pink. And it's so crazy because all these years later, I was on his Instagram and he's still rocking that pink. And I'm just like, and he's like, listen, I'm a man, but I love pink. And
Pink is gorgeous. Everybody's sleeping on pink. Well, I wouldn't really like hot pink. Like that's not a color for me, but I do like that soft pastel pink. That actually really looks nice.
yes, yes, and that's what he wears. And it's just so beautiful and amazing. So tell me, what would you say you want the world? Because I have followers, I have listeners. This is going on my website, it's going on YouTube. What would you want them to know about you specifically?
Oh, absolutely. Ooh, if I could just say one thing about myself, ooh, it's hard to
Keep
encompass
going,
in
keep
one
going.
sentence, but I'll try
No,
it.
it doesn't have to be one sentence. It doesn't have to be one sentence.
So let me summarize it this way. One thing to know about me is that I'm just a person. I'm a human being that's just still trying to figure out who they want to be, just like everyone else in the world. Trans people aren't the only ones in transition. Everybody's in a transition, whether they're transitioning to a new place that they're moving to, transitioning to a new job, new career, new understanding of themselves, transitioning out of college, transitioning to like a new family dynamic or starting a family. Everybody's in transition. So, nothing's ever going to be fixed. Like from the moment you take your first breath in this earth, everything's in transition. You're never just going to be like 2 pounds and like 3 ounces right out the gate. You're going to be growing. Everyone's growing. We're all committed to unlearning, because there are a lot of beliefs that we were instilled in us that are not necessarily right. Our understanding of things change, and that goes with gender. So that would be my piece.
Yes, thank you for that. And now I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. Give me 3 words that inspire you, motivate you.
Let's see. Future. Absolutely. Everything I do is for my future. Two, self, no, I'd say just say love in general, and that could be a very broad term. And 3, inspiration. I feel like everything I do is just to inspire others that they could do it too, whether they're Hispanic, they're trans, or come from similar circumstances I do. So those are the 3 things that drive me.
Thank you so much. I am
Thank you.
so happy to have had you here today. I feel like so many people are going to be touched, moved, and inspired, because one thing they don't understand about trans people or trans illusionists or non-binary people is what you just said. We are human. We're human. We bleed, we cry, we have hurt feelings, and then we're happy, we're jovial, we're excited, we're positive, we're loving, and it's like, why does what's going on underneath my clothes have to be so much of your business?
Absolutely. I
You know?
100% agree.
Yes, it's like, what's going on under here? You don't have to worry about, because I'm not offering it to you. You
I
know,
know, that's right.
yeah, it's like, I'm not offering it to you. So calm down. tell everyone where they can find you on social media and you can plug.
Absolutely. So you can always find me on Instagram. I am Trans Jesus, and I'm definitely spending more time on TikTok. So you can find me as Trans Jesus with a dot between the two names. On TikTok, I post like twice a day. I mostly do education, and I also take sounds and I try to put some bite-sized pieces of like information for trans people, not necessarily just trans mass people, but for all trans people.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have been here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the vocal stylings of Ray Resendez. Don't go nowhere. Say goodbye, but don't go.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.